Hello, and welcome back to another fine episode of the JoyPad podcast. My name is Tom, and I will be your host for today's fantastic session. With me, as always, are my great friends Megan, Fleming, and Pinto. And today, we will discuss a topic that I will get to at a later date. But for now, Mr. Mike Fleming, how are you doing? What have you been drinking? And what games are you currently enjoying?
Doing good. I think I got too close to the microphone, and when you were talking, it showed that what you were saying was coming through my microphone as well, because I was like, here. So I had to fix that really quick. You startled me by coming to me first. But no, I am good. I have been very tired because work's been a little bit crazy. Some new stuff has happened in the world that I've had to report on. In regards to what I'm drinking, I am the Sleepy Boy, as I was just telling you guys, and I am drinking some coffee in my wife's purple Yeti, and I also have water in my blue Yeti. So you'll see me interchange colors, but for our YouTube fans, if you want to know exactly what I'm drinking in that moment, that is the color that you need to watch for. But after
You can
that,
identify the exact moment that Fleming switches to water.
yes,
You'll win a free opportunity to like, comment, and subscribe.
yes, if you spot it, we'll not give you anything, but we would give you praise. But that's actually giving you something, I guess, but it's all good. Anyway, what have I been playing? I played a little bit of StarCraft Brood War still. I've been trying to be competitive in that life, and it's been fun. Also, I have been playing a little bit of Hearts of Iron 4 because I had a game that I had not finished, and I was just about finished, so, I'm essentially done there. And I think that's it, aside from Ultimate Chicken Horse, which I'm sure will come up as normal. So we've been playing Ultimate Chicken Horse as a group still. But beyond that, haven't done too much else on my own. Like I said, it's been a little bit busy and hectic with things going on. So hoping in the next couple days we'll get some new games out there and some new things. So anyway, enough about me. Mr. Michael Pinto, because you have another great first name as well, of Michael. How are you doing? What are you drinking? And what are you playing?
Ooh.
It's
guys
almost
remember
June, man. It's almost time to get tropical. Passion fruit's there too, though, I gotta say.
Yes,
It was hotter there than it was here. That's crazy.
it is. It is very hot in the Northeast right now. It's gonna hit. It was supposed to hit like 90, but I wouldn't be surprised if it hits higher on Saturday. So it's very, very hot around here too. Um, Pinto, do you remember in regards to Smirnoff? Do you remember the age of the Smirnoff icing? Yes, Bros Ice
Pardon?
Bros.
You get counter iced.
Do you not
and
know
have
what
to walrus?
Do you not know what Bros Icing Bros is, Megan?
I'm not familiar, no.
Okay. For our fans who are younger and might not remember this, in like around 2010, 2011-ish time frame, and this is before the age of, your TikToks and your other things, so maybe it will come back in the future. A really popular online kind of, but then became mainstream thing was to ice your bros. So Tom would be a bro. Michael Pinto would be my bro. And they would ice by hiding a Smirnoff Ice somewhere in your apartment, your dorm room, your house, whatever. And when you came across it, you would need to drink it. Now, not only did you need to drink this ice, but you needed to down it as fast as possible, which if anyone's ever had a Smirnoff Ice, it's very hard to do because it's very bubbly and super sweet. It's not really a man's drink, in my opinion. But not only would you have to drink the whole thing very rapidly, but you would have to do it on one knee. There was also
Okay.
the idea of counter icing, where if you had a Smirnoff Ice somewhere on your possession when you were iced, say you were sitting at your desk and you had an ice hidden in your drawer, and someone walks in and says, "Here's your backpack, man," and you open up your backpack and you see your ice in there, you could pull out your counter ice, and that person would have to proceed to drink both ices. So there are many occasions where friends of ours who tried to ice people got counter iced, and they have to do, as Tom put it, the walrus, where they would hold both Smirnoff Ice bottles up to their mouth and drink both at the same time. And it was an interesting time, to say the least.
It was a brief time, if we're being honest.
It was
and
a brief time.
Deservedly so, although I just found an article on brobible.com, of all places, suggesting that it's time to bring back Bros Icing Bros, along with all of the rules that were just outlined. And this is a recent article as of March 2021. So we may see not only Hotback Summer, but Bros Icing Bros too, the broening.
Well,
Oh God.
I don't think Edward Forty Hands ever left. I think that's
Yeah.
just
Yeah, I
something
don't
that's
think that
unique
ever
to college
left.
campuses and frat
I
houses.
just I worry at the fact that we are very good at predicting trends and new games and new ideas that we have now just predicted Bros Icing Bros returning. And if it does, I feel like we all need to have a Smirnoff Ice one night. But
Hey, you know what? I like Smirnoff Ice. I have no problem with that. They have a lime flavor. It's delightful.
that is actually better than the regular flavor, I would admit. So, well, if I get to Wegmans, that's not sponsored, but that's where we go. I will certainly pick up a Smirnoff Ice to partake with you, sir.
And if Wegmans ever creates a store in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, I will also drive there and get a Smirnoff Ice. Wegmans, Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Why not? We're big.
Good tangent.
The Duke.
Chungus.
You didn't find yourself having a sexual attraction to the lady, did you? Because isn't she the one that a lot of people did? Oh, I thought it was that.
Who?
Okay.
Yeah,
I forget who it was. I think Pinto, it was you that said that people were having like a sexual attraction to.
Oh yeah.
Well, I
the
know, but I
internet.
thought it was like something about that person. So
the physical manifestation of the internet
yeah,
had a hard crush on Lady D, or Lady
Yeah.
Double D, or Lady Triple D's, as she's known sometimes.
The
Beautiful.
There's so many mods out there that have like really done that though. That's why I was pleasantly surprised when you sent me that nice mod today. Yeah.
That's amazing.
yeah.
That's fantastic. That's just good comedy right there.
Uh-huh.
Y'all know big booby mods are out there too, though. Like, yes. Where's the Randy Savage mod? Where's the one that turns Lady Dimitrescu into Randy Savage?
Ooh,
And
yeah.
every time he appears, it gives you a new cat. Someone's working on it already. If they made it a dragon in Skyrim, they'll make it into Resident Evil. I would dare say the plane looks exactly the same in the previews. Yes, it looks like almost the exact same plane, if not the exact same plane crash. But it's a plane crash. How different can a plane crash look?
Alaska.
Alaska.
Yetis.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited for it.
Mhm.
You know, like we've said recently, past 6 months, that like, you know, that social gaming has been a lot of fun to get together to play stuff. We can post extra things. We can talk about a game that we're all kind of involved in or involved with right then, especially a story-based game, which is great, like The Forest was. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for it personally. And like you said, it was super reasonably priced because it was on sale for like I think $12 or so.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, it's
super
50%
awesome.
off.
Yeah.
I'm not. I much like Fleming, except I'm a sleepy girl. I'm enjoying an iced coffee this evening, instead of my boring old leaf water. But yeah, as far as gaming, I haven't played too much other than the new Resident Evil, which I actually finished last night. So I'm excited for, Tom and Pinto to progress a bit further to talk to you guys about it. I liked it. I'm interested to see what you think. I'm interested to see where it goes, especially with the next installment. When you finish it, stick around after the credits. There's a nice post-credits scene that alludes to the potential future of the series.
I thought you were going to say where Lady Dimitrescu actually steps on you.
That's another mod. Yes, yeah, I think I did. Yeah, yeah. It kind of turned more into an action game in the end than like your like regular, spooky genre. But I did like it a lot. I think it was a step up from 7, even though it wasn't as, I guess, spooky as 7. It was more anxiety driven. But
I think that's why I like what I've seen of it. Like, I'm not playing
Yeah.
it. My wife's playing it, and I'm just kind of watching
Mhm.
while I do other things. And like, I tend more towards those actiony games that might have
Yeah.
like some supernatural elements, and like even just seeing kind of like the way they introduced a bunch of the characters. And again, we're in Lady D's Nuts' house, and we're just kind of seeing, we've seen the characters that are there at the beginning. So I saw, spooky child ghost bride, and I was like, what is going on here? So I
Yeah,
think there's a lot of intrigue, and the intrigue is what really catches me more than here's cannibal
Exactly.
family force feeding you human meat. That
They give you like
just bothers me.
enough throughout, like little tastes of things where it's like, oh, I can't wait to get here or learn more about this. It really gives me Resident Evil 4 vibes, not just because you're in a village, but there are a lot of similarities. So yeah, I'm excited to hear what you guys think. I don't want to talk too much about it to spoil anything. It took me about 12 hours to complete it. They said the average play time is about 10 hours. It's, I think, like the second or third longest Resident Evil game, which is, not super long.
That still seems so short, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I was very happy with it. I was not disappointed to pay full price for it. So yeah, that's really been about it for what I'm playing other than Ultimate Chicken Horse here and there. Yeah, I won't ramble too much as everybody dances. Tom, What are you drinking? How are you doing? What have you been playing? And what are we talking about?
Thank you. I am doing well. I am also a bit of the sleepy boy, as work has been busy for me too, but I'm just having a Bang Blue Raz. I drink these instead of the orange creamsicle because they have a little bit more caffeine sometimes, and I need a little extra boost. In terms of playing, I have been playing Crusader Kings 3 a lot more again. So I have a game, I think I've shared some screenshots with you guys, where I was playing as the quote unquote holier German Empire for a while, ripping off the Holy Roman Empire. And we've been biting into their land, and we took over the Pope and kicked him out of Rome and all this fun stuff. But I hit a bug in that game, which is very unfortunate, where my saves are not saving, and it's an
Ooh.
Iron Man cloud save game. So I've been trying to work with Paradox to see if anything will resolve that. It seems like it's saving on my main machine again, but I haven't sat down for an hour to see if it's going to save after an hour again because I've already had my heart broken twice as I've
Aw.
assassinated Byzantine Emperor after Byzantine Emperor. But que sera. So I started another Crusader Kings 3 game where I'm playing as I forget the exact country, but it was the descendant of the Han Empire, basically. So China. And I conquered quite a bit, and then somehow I was having sons with all of these different Indian ladies, and the one that took over was somehow also the descendant of the Himalayan Empire. So all of a sudden, my kingdom became the Himalayan kingdom instead of the Han kingdom, and he is having to deal with all kinds of civil wars. So it's not great. Much less great than the holier German Empire is doing right now. So
I have a question for you.
yeah.
Have you seduced the Pope yet? And
Oh,
why not, if you haven't?
I have not because I haven't found a pope who is either homosexual or bisexual. And you can't do it if you're a straight man. He's a straight man.
Well, that's a bummer.
Yeah, it is a bummer. You should be able to just convince him with your wiles if you're enough of a seducer. That's what I say. If you can.
Oh, there is actually breaking news regarding some
Ooh.
Pope-like simulator.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Breaking news.
I don't know why I went
The
to Discord for that, but I did.
I Am Jesus Christ game
Uh-huh.
that we have joked about has been postponed.
No.
I am so sorry. I just looked it up. It was it's still on my wish list, and I clicked on it because I was in my wish list, and I was bored. And it now says coming 2022. So, again, with our predictions, I'm currently thinking that Easter 2022 is the intended release date, and if it comes true, I probably will never stop laughing. Like in my rest of my life, I'll be laughing about it. So
If that's why it was pushed,
yeah,
I'm okay.
Really,
and that's what I'm thinking too. And here's the thing. Like I
first,
said, unless the game actually is hilarious, for a long time, I probably would just play the prologue, which is supposed to be free and is still slated for 2021. So,
Thank goodness.
yes,
Or
but the
thank God.
hands, of course, or thank God, exactly. So yeah, I'm really excited. Hopefully that game will still come out because it's gonna be a funny game, I think. But that was my breaking news and breaking
Thank you.
news segment.
well, they got to have I Am Zoroaster out first, and before that, they have to have Moses Ascends, which will be the story of climbing Mount Sinai. Dang, I'm just full of disappointment now.
It'll be all right.
Anyhow, aside from Crusader Kings, I have been playing. I've been playing Ultimate Chicken Horse with all of you from time to time. We had some fun the other night. We've unlocked all the levels, and I believe all the characters, and we're just getting skins right now. But we had a showdown in the temple, and Mr. Pinto's computer crashed in part of it, but we were able to take advantage of part of the game's features to save the layout and preserve the showdown and set it up afterwards. So I just feel like a shout out to the creators of Ultimate Chicken Horse for making enough full features to be able to do that and to have our wonderful images, which are posted on Facebook, of our matches where we did nothing but cannons and bees.
Bees.
Ease.
Yeah.
It was hard.
I think 30 actually.
No, I think it was 20. It was 20.
Oh, okay. Yep. I did it on the next life when we restarted it, but yeah, it was tough. I mean, Tom, if you save the level, maybe we'll take a screenshot and post that on Facebook too, because that was actually a really difficult one to just give a quick synopsis of how it worked or whatever. It was very timing based, and we had a black hole who was throwing tennis balls right into your back as you were trying to time the next part of it, and it was really difficult just to time everything well. And then you also have the pressure because sudden death is whoever gets there first is the winner. We were able to establish that rule again when we loaded the level. So it was just really tough, and like it wasn't a lot of blocks either. I don't know if you guys would agree, but like I think it was probably no more than like, let's just say 20 parts. That might even be high. But just the way things were rotating, the way that the black hole manipulated the tennis balls, the way you had to jump onto a flower that punches you, which we call punchy flower. But you had to jump there because if you try to jump past it right away, the other tennis ball would hit you. It was just really impressive how we had built that without even realizing it. And it was difficult even before the sudden death, but I think that anxiety made it much more difficult because we were trying to rush to beat each other. So.
Yeah, it's just it's a great game because you can set things up like that, and because of the collaborative approach to setting things up like that. So no one can, like, there's no real one person to blame for it. Whereas in Mario Maker, you just kind of curse the developer.
Yeah.
So in this way, you know that you're as much at fault as everybody else, and that's half the fun.
Yeah, and every time, especially if you do 2 blocks at a time per person, you can really manipulate the level very quickly and make it much more difficult or much more easy because you can suddenly have a new path to go. There was another level we did when the 3 of us were playing that there was like 3 different ways to go, or at least there's at least 2 that I could think of. I think there was a third way as well. And it was really cool because Tom, you were trying I'll call southern or further, bottom level and then up and around. And I was trying to go through the more complicated but much shorter area. It was just really cool to see how, like, there's different ways, different approaches, especially when you start to add more blocks and, you can take different paths to get to the flag. So just really fun, really enjoyable gameplay. And what was that, last night or the night before? So pretty cool.
Yeah, if you haven't already bought and downloaded Ultimate Chicken Horse, what are you waiting for? Do it.
It's like $15. Totally worth it, especially if you have friends, which
I hope you have friends.
You probably do.
Yeah,
that sounds good.
Cool. So our topic for tonight, and I always try to find a nice little segue into it, has nothing to do with anything we've been talking about. So there's no nice little segue. But really, I've been watching some Game Grumps playthroughs of Sonic games, which really got me thinking, what the heck happened to Sega? Sega used to be such a force in my childhood, and I would say you guys probably feel the same way. It was ubiquitous with video games, just as much as Nintendo. And really, there was kind of a battle between whether or not, you were a Sega household or a Nintendo household far before PlayStation even entered the scene. And it's really interesting, if nothing else, to see how Sega went from being the people who had the cool mascot of Sonic and the extreme hardware that you could take on the go and play a Genesis game over at your friend's house without even having a console, to the people that make a Sonic game for Nintendo from time to time and publish just a bizarre list of games recently that really they don't have much to do with or even have their IP on. I'm looking, at the list here, and they have their hands on Alex Kidd and Miracle World and Guilty Gear and Total War, which are not bad games, but they're not games that you think of when you think of a publisher or studio the way you do with Nintendo and Mario. And of course, we're all going to think of Sonic, but Sonic's been through a lot in recent years, if we can be completely honest. Sonic games are tough. they are challenging, and in so many words, he goes fast, but going fast is not always an advantage. You get punished for going fast nearly 95% of the time in a Sonic game. So I just wanted to talk about the company in general with you guys, some of the games and systems that you've had some experience with, how you kind of perceived Sega growing up, and then just what's the deal with the rise, fall, and odd proliferation. How is Sega even still around?
I was never a Sega household. We were always Nintendo represent. I got into Sega in a bad period. I had the Sega Saturn, and I had the Sega Dreamcast. And while they weren't terrible consoles, they were just met with other things that were better. Like Dreamcast, it was timed with the PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 1?
I think it was PlayStation 1, yeah.
Yeah, it would have been 1.
But it was kind of late in like the PS1 cycle. Like I feel like the PS1 had maybe been out a year, and then the Dreamcast came out. I'm not exactly sure of that timing, but I know Dreamcast had like some innovative features like the internet connectivity.
Yeah.
And it had that little expansion port in the controller that you could plug something in. I forget if it was like a little mini
memory card.
Was it the memory card?
Yeah, the memory cards had screens on them, and then also little like a D-pad and buttons, because some games had like little mini features that you could play on your memory card. Specifically Sonic. I think, was it Sonic Adventure? Because you had were they the Chos? The little chows? Yeah. It was almost like a Tamagotchi feature where you could take care of the chow on the memory card.
And that was right around the time that Tamagotchis were actually super popular too.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just double checked. The Dreamcast was released in 1999 in North America. PlayStation 1 was released in 1995.
When was the 2?
The 2 was in 2000, so the end of 2000. So
yeah, so it came out right before.
Yeah, which is kind of a death knell if you're on a CD platform and a DVD platform system's about to come out.
Yeah. Oh, by far.
Definitely. They look awful.
I still have my Dreamcast.
Wow. You should hang on to that for forever. The controllers look like little spaceships. Like
they do.
Aesthetically, they're cute. I like them, but ergonomics, man, like not ergonomics. Great. That was the era that ergonomics were finally taking over, because the N64 controller, which made even less sense, was yes.
But it was better than the Dreamcast controller.
Yeah, it was. Once you figured out that it had a whole section that you didn't need to put your hand on.
Yes.
I still remember going over to a friend's house and holding the N64 controller the way any sane person would think to do it, with your hand on the left,
the left and right
handle and the right handle, and I couldn't do anything.
Well, that was because. So I remember the N64 controller. The far left was those like yellow keys. I think they were called like C keys or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, the C buttons.
I thought it was just the D-pad that was on the far left.
Oh, okay. I had it backwards, but the and like I never used the D-pad really. I think I used the C buttons though for like GoldenEye. I remember because it was always cool once you got to like you were good enough to be able to play with the what was that controller mode in GoldenEye? It was like Solitaire, I think maybe, or one of them was called Solitaire. I don't remember.
I don't
But
know.
I agree with you. Yeah, the controllers on old consoles, all of these were weird.
And and analog sticks.
Yeah. Well, let's be honest, there's still a D-pad on the Xbox and PlayStation controllers. Yeah. It's just a more comfortable situation now. Yeah. But that was kind of a weird era because really everyone had a non-ergonomic controller, and the PlayStation 1 started to fix that. The GameCube started to come around a little bit with its controller design, and the Xbox was working on it, but they had that giant ham-fisty guy.
Massive.
Yeah.
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 And what do? Yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense. I think a lot of it came from the idea of arcade controllers.
Right.
And at least initially, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think the NES had two buttons. It had an A and a B, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
No, you're right.
I think the idea was to be
Don't
like,
listen to Pinto.
hey, we've got A, B, and C, you Nintendo losers. And then it just didn't work out. Because I think
Here's a fourth button.
Yep.
And I think so. If I take it from a business perspective and a branding perspective, I think, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but I remember being a little kid and thinking like Nintendo was more of like the fun kind of games, and the more
Yes.
extreme games would be on your Sega systems.
Yeah,
So-
Nintendo was like the family.
Yeah, exactly.
Family console because
And
I
that's
couldn't
why you
play
saw-
games on Sega.
Yeah, and that's why you saw a lot of people, like, especially in our generation where we were, underneath, let's just say 10, we didn't really have a lot of those Segas. And I think Sega is a great example of a company that just doesn't, like, it was doing okay, but it just doesn't innovate. So, like, Sony came in with PlayStation and just took over that part of the market. So
Right.
Nintendo was able to survive because they have some really strong IP. Like Mario, one of the strongest, video game characters, if not the strongest ever. He'll never go away. And obviously his supporting cast of Peach and Luigi, even now, Yoshi, those kind of people, Bowser. So I think that just kind of gave Nintendo enough to survive. And I think Nintendo was struggling. I just
It was
don't
by
remember.
a thread.
Yeah.
Definitely
Was struggling for a while, but I think that the IP more than anything saved them, and was able to keep them going. While people like Xbox, Microsoft now, and Sony came into the market. It was a great time for Sega to jump in and like kind of be one of those leading people in the industry, but they just didn't innovate when the bigger players came in.
Well, really seeing now that exclusivity is king, and we've seen it with the acquisition of Bethesda by Xbox, Microsoft, I think, because, and what's the game that's coming out, Megan? Starbase? Starfield.
Yeah.
That they're going to look at publishing exclusively for Microsoft PC and Xbox. So, Microsoft has some weight behind them having, Windows and all sorts of Office and all other suites of software, but no one would have bought an Xbox if it weren't for Halo, and Halo was an Xbox exclusive. And that really is what sold that console for generations.
Right.
And
Gears
even
of War as well.
with the latest, you have Epic and Apple in court right now. It's come to light that Microsoft has never made a profit on a console. It all comes from Game Pass and live subscriptions and other things.
Yep, and they can just do that. They can just eat that cost compared to Sega, which really was more based on, consoles and software. They don't have that to fall back on. But I think it's really interesting, Fleming, you said earlier that Sega didn't innovate enough, because when I think of the early days of Sega, they were almost the more innovative platform than Nintendo, because I always think about the Game Boy versus the Game Gear. And that was the hot kind of debate back when I was in daycare in my elementary school days, because I had a Game Boy, and if you had one of those giant gray brick Game Boys, they were black and white. You couldn't plug them into a wall ever. You had 4 AA batteries in them, and once they started to go, you had to find more batteries or you were SOL. The Game Gear, I think, had a more limited charge, but it could work off of batteries or it could take a charge off the wall. So it had an AC adapter. It was full color. Sega ran plenty of ads to emphasize that point that they were full, I think, 16-bit color in their mobile gaming platform, which is pretty impressive for, the mid 90s. And the games that you were playing on it were, I would say the quality was usually less than a home console, but the graphics that you would get were pretty on par with what you were seeing out of like a Genesis or a Super Nintendo. And the speed was there at the same point too. And I remember playing Sonic on that platform. I remember playing Mortal Kombat on that. So it's interesting that they went from being ahead of the game to being way behind.
Yeah, even the Saturn, which I won't really talk a ton about because it's the Saturn, that was the first console to utilize an analog controller with Knights. When that came out, you could buy it paired with the game.
Knights was such a big deal too. Knights and Vector Man.
Yeah, they were huge. I think those were like, the big games for the console.
Was that their last console? Like I said, I wasn't a Sega.
No, Dreamcast.
Oh, sorry, Dreamcast, right. Yeah, I don't even know why they, like, what was I don't know if the Dreamcast sales were low or...
I just don't think it could compete with the PS2.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was late in life compared to when PS1 was released already, and then the PS2 is right around the corner. And there weren't a lot of exclusive titles for Dreamcast.
No.
In fact, I think it had a more limited library than a lot of the other consoles. Sonic Adventure was kind of the selling point for that one. And there was an RPG game about sky pirates that I forget the name of it.
Yes, Skies or Tales of Arcadia, yeah.
I'm looking it up now because I have to know. Skies of Arcadia, you got it.
Shenmue.
Was Shenmue on the Dreamcast? I didn't even
Shenmue
realize
was
that.
on the Dreamcast. It is a whopping 4 discs.
Holy cow. Yeah. But this is also right before getting to the PlayStation 2, where Final Fantasy X is on 1 disc. Yes. Yeah, and not to skip too far, but that's also, I think, what really hit Nintendo hard was they kind of stopped doing technology innovation as much at that point. Yeah. Because when you got to the GameCube, they were doing mini CDs, which made no sense.
I loved them, though. I thought it was so cute.
They were adorable.
The console had a handle. Oh, I know. Yeah.
I love that box. Oh.
You're done.
I can't believe, sidebar, that Babbage's is not a retail chain at this point. Come on down to Dallas-Fort Worth, Babbage's. We'll take you.
It sounds like a swear word for, like, a child.
Guys, this is a thing now.
Listen, Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, they didn't have a little game called Seaman.
I knew it was going to come up.
I still think about that game. It was like an angler fish with a human face. Uh-huh.
I've never played this game, and
neither have
the
I.
description is not making me want to.
Read a ton about it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna bring it up because I've always brought it up whenever we've talked about this game, which I feel like it's ubiquitous to the Dreamcast. I always heard rumors that people would rent this game from Blockbuster and then stick the microphone in their butt. I don't know why. It just sounds bizarre and awful and just something that you shouldn't do. But I heard that it was something they did and that they would return it to the store all nasty.
Ew.
Yeah, but it's Blockbuster. Do you think the 15-year-old working there really did it?
No.
Do they want to be the one to sterilize the butt microphone?
You're the butt sterilizer. But I mean, it's just so strange that those are the games that were associated with Sega's last-ditch effort.
Yeah.
You would think they would really go all out. Crazy Taxis, obviously, one we didn't mention, but that also existed on other platforms. Yeah, the best they could muster were the Sonic Adventures and Seaman.
Well, think about what lasted though after Sega was gone, right? You mentioned Sonic right away. That's what actually continued on in various Nintendo, console games. So,
but the problem is they're not good games right now.
They're not great.
well, they're not, but Sonic himself is a good enough IP to last because some people just love the character, and we saw a movie about Sonic, right? Like a year or two ago,
And they're
just
doing a
last year.
sequel.
And they're doing a sequel, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was huge.
Oh, okay. I mean, I just remember the
Jim Carrey and Ben Schwartz.
The original commercial where Sonic was like creepy. You guys remember that?
Yeah,
it was
before they
awful.
did the redesign.
You gotta fix it. You gotta fix it because this is so weird.
Thank God they did.
They did. You're right.
I mean, I have to be honest. Sonic as a character, as a franchise, is a great design. Like it's just a great looking character. It's a great style of animation and world building. The problem lies in that it's not as fully featured as a Mario game. You don't have a whole bunch of power-ups. The entire game is focused on go fast, and then when you do go fast, you run into things and get hurt.
Go fast, get screwed.
Yeah, exactly. So, Sonic Adventure mitigated some of that when you played the game. You could grind on rails or fly or climb walls.
Turn into a Super Saiyan.
Yes,
yeah. I liked Sonic Adventure.
I did too, as a matter of fact. Sonic in general has great music. Which is even more incredible too. Like, how does that even happen? But Michael Jackson composed a lot of weird music for a lot of weird things that people just found out about. I believe so, and he was a guest for one episode and helped work on a song for the one episode.
It's your birthday.
Happy birthday, Lisa. Oh, I can sing the whole thing. Anyway, but it's I don't know. It's just interesting that we had a time in gaming where there were really two titans, and it really was a game of Nintendo and Sega, and no one else. Atari had gone well by the wayside, and Sonic and Mario were very much kind of neck and neck for a time. And Sonic was almost the bad boy of gaming, and Mario was the weird mustached plumber guy of gaming.
Kind of fat plumber, right?
Yeah. He was the portly plumber and Luigi was the lanky plumber. But Nintendo just managed to develop a ton of IPs and hold on to that instead of selling out to other companies, putting things in other places and losing that ground. And they've milked it all the way back to the top. You think about Pokemon not coming on until 1999. Nintendo really managed to leverage things and just keep building that library as they went. And Sega never really found that second group, that next tier. It never had its Zelda, it never had its Pokemon or Metroid. Yeah. Yep. Yes, I remember Kid Icarus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spyro, Crash, Croc. Gex. I remember Bugsy.
Mm-hmm.
Rayman.
Yeah.
Interestingly, they never really found one, and they ended up.
No. We could do a long, I think, session on IP and specifically like who is everyone's, I think every gaming company is looking for that IP that's going to allow them to sustain any of the other projects they want. So who is our Mario matters because then you have that source of revenue that could allow you to experiment with other characters. So that's a really interesting topic that we should go into more detail, I think, in the future too.
Yeah, it's more critical than you think.
Can we do a bracket?
Oh, that'd be great.
That'd be awesome. Like, Mario at the top left and then Zelda, let's say, or Link, the bottom left.
I hate to tell you, Mario wins. Fiasco.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
We got someone Clank.
Else. I think they were together as one, but that was all they had. And it's funny you bring up Super Smash Brothers, which Sonic is now a part of.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember when it was a big deal when Sonic joined the ranks on the Wii version, which I think was Brawl. I'm probably going to get flagged for not knowing.
No, Brawl is
Melee.
Melee was GameCube. You're right with Brawl.
Okay. So, but anyhow, one of the wonderful things about Super Smash Brothers too is it introduced Edge IPs, Fire Emblem,
Ness.
Yeah,
Ness from Earthbound. It made people wonder about these things that were already still Nintendo exclusive, but just weren't in the North American sphere. So yes, I just didn't have that. No one's asking about Phantasy Star right now. No one, and I think they're actually making a new Phantasy Star Online game for PC, which, yeah, that was like the one game I remember being excited about Dreamcast for because I always had an interest in MMOs, but
they are talking about bringing back Crazy Taxi, which was multi-platform, but also Jet Set Radio, which forever was just, I think, on the Dreamcast until eventually it ported to one of the Xbox systems. Yeah.
Yeah, Jet Grind and Jet Set. I remember those.
Yeah.
The only game that can make rollerblading look cool. And now it seems like most of what Sega does is publish anime-ish kind of games, as well as Football Manager. They're
involved in
Yakuza, Alien Isolation. They have a publishing credit on.
Mm-hmm.
They have a publishing credit on. I think they had a publishing credit on the Matrix Online when I played it, which is so.
Wow.
Isn't that weird? Like, I mean, yeah, I think they have a credit on Valkyria Chronicles, which is a World War II-esque strategy tactics game I have and quite enjoy, but it just doesn't really make sense where they are right now and why, if anything, they're even still recognized as a publishing powerhouse. So, Total War games. Everyone loves Total War. Sega.
It seems like they pivoted, like you said, pivoted away from trying to be, their own console, their own IPs, and went more to, like you said, a publishing kind of company. I don't really know the business decisions behind that. And we're going back to when we were in our, maybe young teenage years. So it's hard for us to really know the story behind it without further investigation. But it is interesting how they just, kind of gave up a huge, what we would argue, bigger part of their business, at least from a customer visibility perspective.
Yeah, and I just wonder, how much of it is similar to the situation with like Konami, where they're giving up a lot of the games that they've really kind of invested themselves in to do more of, less expansion and more pachinko. Yeah, exactly. More of just taking what they have and trying to put it into gambling machines or just milking it for all it's worth.
Oh, here you go. In 2003, Sega began talks with Sammy Corporation, a pachinko and pachis slot manufacturing company.
I knew it.
A video Look at that call out.
Yeah.
I'm not at all surprised. I also just wonder, these are the Japanese kind of studios. They're, not that Sony's not, but it seems like a lot of the titles that Sega's heavily involved with are highly kind of anime and almost more Japanese culturally rooted.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if there's anything at play there too. But questions abound. But I love that. Yes, I do remember that.
I don't like being yelled at.
They're trying to be edgy. Yeah. And then by comparison, you had that wonderful PlayStation 1 startup with that so nice. I have one other thing I wanted to bring up with Sega with you guys.
Super Monkey Ball?
No, although Super Monkey Ball is wonderful. Do you guys remember Sega Channel?
No.
I still don't know to this day how it works, and I feel like I need to look it up right now just to try and even understand. But there was this thing called Sega Channel that you would get that I think was supposed to work, where you could just kind of hook your console up and go to a specific channel that you would pay for as like, almost like how the Disney Channel used to be, where you would pay for it as an a la carte channel.
Mm-hmm.
And you would get like whatever additional games maybe for a month that were just being hosted on Sega Channel. So it looks like it was for the Genesis, and that it would give you games over coax. So you would pay for it and you would get online games, and you would get to play demos and get cheat codes off of it.
4 years it lasted.
Right. And this was not recent. This was launched in 1994.
Wow.
So, in the mid 90s, that's pretty darn innovative compared to all the offline machinery that we had at that time.
No, I mean, I didn't get internet till like 97-ish, somewhere around there.
Well, I would say not even every household had complete basic cable, because we didn't.
Yeah.
We had a set number of channels. I think we probably had like 20 or 30 channels. That was it. So I don't know. That always stuck in my mind, because I think I used to see the ads for it, and I was just like, how, what, why, and this is awesome. So.
I remember that though.
You're pretty accurate. I'm sure there was something like that, because I think just about everybody had that. One of the most famous ones, actually, Sierra had a hotline for that, and yep. King's Quest
was Myst by them too? Was Myst?
Yep, Myst.
Yeah, Myst was like the most confusing thing ever.
Yeah, I played all those back in the day.
Yeah.
No, I would get stuck and then quit. Well, yeah, I mean, watch a playthrough of like a King's Quest game, and it doesn't make sense what you're supposed to do. And it's all based on text parsers, so you have to have an idea of exactly what the system is looking for, which is insane. So, but anyway, do you guys have anything else you want to add about Sega before wrapping up this episode?
Nope.
No. Rip. Aw.
Yeah, you know, through the cartoon show, it wasn't a thing in any of the games or anything. But actually, when I was a child, I liked Sonic enough that I used to draw Sonic and I used to get Sonic stuff because I didn't have a Genesis. I was also a Nintendo household. And they had Sonic comics that talked about Sonic's love of chili dogs in there too. So
I love a good chili dog.
it's all in the. I do too. Chili dog's great. But anyhow, thank you all for walking down this memory lane with me. And I think there's still kind of a question out there because Sega refuses to die of what is happening with Sega. And I don't think we'll ever really know until we get Dreamcast 2 Electric Boogaloo. So thanks.
Sega, get at us.
Yes. You actually, all you do is you plug another controller into it like you did with the expansion slots on the Sega Genesis. Thank you all again for joining us for another fine episode of the JoyPad podcast. If you like us, consider leaving us a review, a rating, and like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. And check us out on your favorite podcatchers if you want to engage with us on social media, and we hope that you do. You can reach us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at JoyPadPod. You can reach us at email at joypadpod@gmail.com. And you can reach us on YouTube at just JoyPad. We got there first. We're OGs.
Suck it.
And if you're a part of Sega and you would like to write us some hate mail saying, hey, we're awesome, go for
We're
it.
thriving.
We'll read it on our next podcast and get 500 more views. So, all right, I think that's about it. In the words of Sonic the Hedgehog, gotta go fast. But also, we gotta go fast because we got other things to do. So, everyone out there, stay joyful and eat a chili dog. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.